Most people think debt is bad. Full stop. No nuance, no exceptions. And honestly, that instinct makes sense. Debt feels like a burden. It feels like something to avoid. It feels like proof that you are spending more than you earn. But here is the thing. That instinct, while understandable, is incomplete. And if you let it guide every financial decision you make, it will actually hold you back from building wealth. Because not all debt is the same. Some debt works against you. Some debt, when used correctly and carefully, can work for you. Today, we are drawing the line between the two. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to tell good debt from bad debt, what to do with each, and how to make sure debt is never the thing that derails your financial progress. Let us get into it. Let us start with what debt actually is. Debt is borrowed money that you agree to repay over time, usually with interest. The interest is the cost of borrowing, the fee you pay to the lender for giving you access to money you do not currently have. That is the neutral definition. Debt is a financial tool. Like any tool, it can be used well or badly. The outcome depends entirely on how you use it. The two factors that determine whether a piece of debt is working for you or against you are what the debt is financing and what it is costing you. Let us talk about good debt first. Good debt is borrowing that finances something likely to increase your net worth or generate income over time. The key question is, does what you are borrowing for produce a return that justifies the cost of borrowing? The most commonly cited example of good debt is a mortgage, borrowing to buy property that appreciates in value over time and builds equity. Another is education debt, student loans used to fund qualifications that meaningfully increase your earning potential. And business debt, borrowing to fund a business that generates revenue that exceeds the cost of the loan. This does not mean all mortgages are good debt. A mortgage you cannot afford on a property in a declining market at an unfavorable interest rate can absolutely be bad debt. The principle of good debt is not the category, it is whether the asset justifies the cost. The key question for any debt that might be good debt: does the return justify the cost of borrowing? If yes, the debt may be justified. If no, it is worth serious caution. Now let us talk about bad debt. Bad debt is borrowing that finances things that lose value immediately, generate no return, or cost so much in interest that they actively damage your financial position. The clearest example of bad debt is credit card debt, carried month to month at high interest rates. When you make a purchase on a credit card and do not pay the balance in full at the end of the month, interest begins accruing on that balance. Credit card interest rates are typically among the highest of any borrowing product, often significantly higher than mortgage rates or personal loan rates. And that interest compounds. The longer you carry the balance, the more you pay. The item you bought on credit ends up costing significantly more than its original price. A television bought on a credit card that is never fully paid off ends up costing more than the television was worth, and the television itself is depreciating the entire time. You are paying more for something that is becoming worth less. That is the definition of bad debt. Payday loans are another clear example. These are short-term, high-cost loans designed to bridge the gap between paydays. Consumer protection regulators across multiple countries have documented that the effective annual interest rates on payday loans can be extraordinarily high, in some cases running into the hundreds of percent annually. They are almost universally considered among the most damaging financial products available to consumers. High-interest personal loans used to fund consumption. Holidays, electronics, clothing also typically fall into the bad debt category. Not because taking a holiday is wrong, but because financing it with high-cost debt means you are paying for an experience that is already over long after the loan is gone. Now, here is where it gets nuanced, because the line between good and bad debt is not always clean. The same type of debt can be good or bad depending on the interest rate, your personal financial situation, and what you are using it for. A student loan used to fund a qualification in a field with strong employment prospects and high earning potential is more likely to be good debt than a student loan used for a qualification that does not improve your earning potential meaningfully. A mortgage at a competitive interest rate in a stable or growing market is more likely to be good debt than a mortgage at a high interest rate in an overpriced market. The framework for evaluating any debt is 3 questions. What is this financing? Does it appreciate in value or generate income? What is the interest rate? Is the cost of borrowing proportionate to the return? And can I actually afford this? Does servicing this debt put pressure on my ability to cover my needs? If the answers are encouraging, the debt may be justified. If any of the answers are concerning, it warrants serious caution. One final concept worth understanding: the relationship between debt and compound interest. We talk a lot in personal finance about compound interest as a powerful force for wealth building, but compound interest works both ways. When you save and invest, compound interest works for you. Your returns generate further returns over time. When you carry high interest debt, compound interest works against you. Your interest generates further interest over time. This is why carrying high-interest debt while trying to save simultaneously is almost always the wrong order of operations. The interest you are paying on the debt is very likely higher than the interest you are earning on your savings. Paying off high-interest debt first, before focusing on saving beyond your emergency fund, is almost universally the mathematically correct move. This does not mean all debt should be paid off before saving anything, but it does mean that high-interest debt should be treated as a financial emergency, because in a very real sense, it is one. Let us recap what we covered today. Debt is a financial tool, not inherently good or bad. The outcome depends on what you are financing and what it is costing you. Good debt finances assets that appreciate in value or generate income: mortgages, education that increases earning potential, business investment. Bad debt finances things that lose value or cost more in interest than the asset is worth: high-interest credit card debt, payday loans, consumer debt on depreciating goods. The framework for evaluating any debt: does it appreciate or generate income? Is the interest rate proportionate? And can you genuinely afford it? And remember, compound interest works both ways. High-interest debt is a financial emergency. Treat it like one. As always, we end this episode with your action step this week. Write down every debt you currently have. Note the interest rate beside each one. Rank them from highest interest rate to lowest. That list tells you exactly what to address first. If this video helped you, please subscribe to Money Glow Up TV so you never miss a new video. And if you have any questions or feedback, put them in the comments. I would really love to hear from you. See you in the next video.